Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Saturday Zoom. And how was your week? How are you guys doing?
Good. Very busy this week.
Okay.
How about you, Ann?
Very, very busy from being at home. How was your week? How are you guys doing? Whoops, there we go. Very busy from, there's my, I didn't turn off the audio on the Facebook, but now we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter left last Saturday, and then she was staying in a friend's apartment, which was not, it was a bachelor pad, and it was disgusting. And she couldn't even like cook anything. And she was afraid to put anything in the refrigerator. I'm like, yeah, there's things in there that should not be in that refrigerator. So fortunately, it all worked out that her landlord is letting her have a studio apartment at a reduced rate, and it's the penthouse. It's still a studio apartment, but it has a nice balcony. So they usually charge more, but she's like, I wouldn't pay that much for this balcony, especially since she found out last night that it connects to another apartment. So it's like a shared balcony. So they can come out and look in her windows. And I'm like, no.
That's kind of scary. Yeah.
But yeah, so I haven't slept very well. So I'm anxious to figure out how I can sleep better. Even though we know, just from the intro, that sacred rest is about resting in various areas of your life, not just physical sleep. So, but I have a question for you, Kathy.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a car diffuser?
I do. I had it going, actually. It's just one of those little round ones that you plug into the vent,
Right.
and little car diffuser. And I had Christmas spirit in there.
Oh,
I was on the way to the Christmas catalog, the launch for our holiday stuff. So that's why I was diffusing Christmas spirit. But normally in the car, I like to diffuse stress away with some peppermint in it. It kind of, it relaxes me when I'm in the car, but it also makes me more alert, I think, with that peppermint.
Yeah, the peppermint. Yeah, for sure.
I do peppermint in the car. Yeah.
Mhm.
Diane, you got a diffuser going today? At any?
Actually, I did. Usually I do, but today I have all my windows open.
Yeah,
I
it's nice.
Yeah,
It's
I figure
nice
here
today.
about an hour is when I'll start closing the windows and turning on the diffusers.
I didn't tell you, Kathy, Diane lives about 15, 20 minutes from me, and we've never met in person. So
My goodness,
No.
you would have come to the beauty school that time when we were down there, when I was down there with you. We could have
Right.
met.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in Michigan, Diane.
Oh, okay. So you're up north. How's the weather up there?
Today it's going to be in the 40s and rainy. The rain should stop around noon. Right now it's not raining right where I'm sitting. But then we have our grandson's football games today.
Oh, wow.
There's going to be one at 2 o'clock, one at 4 o'clock. And then if the older one, their team wins the one at 4, there'll be a 5 o'clock game. And then rushing home after that to get ready for a wedding tonight.
Busy day.
That's-
Wow.
The culmination from your busy week, I guess.
Yep.
Wow.
Tomorrow I plan on resting,
Mhm.
total rest, sacred rest between sleep, my mind, my body, everything.
Wow. Well, in my diffuser today, I put rosemary and orange because I love rosemary. I just love the smell of it. It'll probably inspire me to go cook with something with rosemary, but and orange is always my standby. And if Mary was here, she'd say she has orange and cinnamon, but I hope she
One yesterday that you posted, it was peppermint, bergamot, and cypress.
Oh,
And that was like the day before yesterday. You messaged it, but I
Okay.
did. It was really good. I like that blend.
I'll have to try that one. I don't always try the ones that I've sent because I send them ahead of time. They're all scheduled for the month. And now I have the new November calendar that I have to make new graphics for. So
Well, that was a good one. It was a,
yeah. All right. Well, today we are going to talk about sacred rest. And this is an ongoing book talk. So if anybody's watching this, we're only 2 chapters in, and you can grab the book and join in. And it's also, you can get it on Kindle, you can get an audio book and listen to it. But it's worthwhile because it's going to help you balance many different areas in your life. And there's so many people out there. I wish that my teacher friends were watching and participating in this, because they always have so many things going. You know, what is that? You have an eggs in all these different baskets, or you're spinning all these plates, whatever the metaphor is.
Right.
And it's really difficult to just set back and let something go. And sometimes you have to let a plate fall, right?
Yeah.
In order to keep the sanity of the spinner. So we're going to talk about this, and I don't know, let's just start with impressions first. I took notes. I'm taking notes as I read mine, just so I can refresh my mind, because sometimes things go in and out. So I'm, trying to make notes so that I am consciously reading this and taking the message to heart, and then also having things to share. But what was something that struck you as you read? Was there anything that resonated with you, or you went or I never thought about it like that?
I think the big thing for me was, I've always been I'd love to take a nap during the day. Even when I was working full time, my lunchtime, I would sit in my car and just close my eyes, and I would call it my nap time.
Mhm.
But I think referring it more to my rest time would be more appropriate, because it's not really sleep, it's rest.
Right.
And I can tell on days that I don't do that are a lot more stressful.
Mhm.
So I guess I always do take a rest or nap during the day because I don't sleep. But I'm curious as to how to make that better quality
Mhm.
while I'm resting. Napping,
Yeah, I
whatever.
think maybe, I think that's a really good thing to be doing. And I think maybe if you just focused on the breathing and just let things go.
Mhm.
I have a really hard time napping.
Yeah.
I sometimes I know I need a nap, but I'm always on the go, and I'm always like, well, and I feel guilty if I lay down. So the only time that I take a nap is if I'm physically not feeling well. If I'm feeling like, oh, I'm sick, or I have a headache or something, and my body is telling me you definitely need that break, then I can lay down, and I still don't really sleep unless I am sick, which
Yeah, I don't really sleep.
sick.
That's why I said maybe I should refer more to resting than
Mhm.
napping. Because it's actually, I'm taking a rest. I'm
Taking a break from all the crap.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I can do that physically to lay myself down if my body is tired. But the thing I have a problem with is shutting off my mind.
Mhm.
Me
Like
too.
I said, we always have so much going on. You might have a mental list, you might have a check off list that you physically wrote out, but it's just shutting off my mind when I can lay down. Not, and even if it's quiet, it's my mind keeps moving, keeps
Mhm.
racing. So
That-
I think for me, and I looked up, sometimes when I'm scrolling through Facebook, they have, some of that music thing that, play this, it's at so many
Mhm.
frequency, whatever it is. And, so I think if I had a longer thing of that, maybe I could concentrate on just those sounds of what's coming off the tape, or maybe even turning on my aria diffuser and concentrating on the bongs or whatever music like not music with words,
Right.
but
Right.
something that's just like a
Instrument.
slow,
Yeah.
right, just kind of to like let your mind relax and not think of other things other than concentrating on that. I think that might be my only hope when I rest.
Couple good apps for that. My son-in-law was sending me daily meditations from the Calm app.
Mhm.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so I got on board with that just this past week. And about, I would say maybe 10 o'clock every morning, I take those 10 minutes and just do that daily calm. And that's all it is 10 minutes.
Right.
And
Do you feel like that's really kind of helping you like get rid of that busyness in your mind during that period?
kind of, letting go of that anxiousness about everything else that
Right.
has to get done during the day. Yeah. So that does seem to help.
Morning, Mary.
Morning, sorry.
Don't be sorry. You're here.
I couldn't get on. I was
Um,
not well rested.
uh, yeah, it's tough balancing everything. One of the things that from the very first chapter, on the first page, I think she said something like, "Wouldn't it be nice to have a get out of your responsibilities card?"
Oh, yes.
And I think we need to do that for ourselves. I think we need to say, all right, today I'm taking a break from X, Y, and Z because my mental, physical, emotional health, whatever it is, needs that break.
Yeah.
But if we do that, then we always feel so guilty for taking time for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to break. She described in that first chapter her just laying down on the floor with
Mhm.
her toddler playing around her, and I think feeling like a crazy person, but that was her coping mechanism, just to take that break. So you going out in your car at lunchtime and just closing your eyes, not sleeping but resting and taking that break, that's great for our mental health.
Yeah.
Mhm. I agree. I
Yeah.
think I remember doing something similar to that when my kids were little, and I had two, that were under the age of 2.5, because my daughters are 14 months apart. So
I
they
had
were both on
twins.
two, you know. Yeah, you had twins, so that was even tougher. But I remember just like, okay, I'm gonna lay on the floor. Here's all the toys around me, and they would crawl all over me, and I would just be like, I enjoyed being with them in that moment too, but I didn't have to concentrate on anything else. My body was at rest, although I was still kind of, like anxious watching them where they're crawling off to. But because I was in the middle of the floor, like that lady said, they just stayed right near me, kind of like ladies,
Change kids for kitty cats. All my kids are all grown, but my kitty cat will be on my lap. I'm like, no, that's sacred time. You can't move, you can't get up. So you just sit there and enjoy petting the kitty cat and say,
Right.
this is.
I sometimes think that God sends the cats to us when we need that break.
Yes.
Because my cat comes every morning and lays by my head, and the other one's usually at my feet. But sometimes they'll just crawl right up on top of me and lay on my chest and be like, here I am, it's time.
Mhm.
And my head's already racing ahead of what I need to do that day and what's the last minute I can get up in order to accomplish everything. But that reminder of, I'm here too, and this is a nice moment between us, and let's just take that moment before we start our day.
Yeah.
But don't you think
Cats are finicky that way. They don't always want to come to us, whereas Mary's got her dog. She'll, I'm sure she's at the ready every time, right?
But don't you think that
Also.
animals, in particular dogs and cats, they know when you need something. They know when you need that break. I've heard so many people say that to me, as well as relatives, and say that to me too, that when they're frustrated and sit down, their dog or their cat, depending on the size of the dog, may jump up on top of them and just like sit on their lap, or the cat, or if
Hey,
they,
stay put for a while, will you?
right. And even, with large dogs, when my brother was sick and he was in a rehab area, and they allowed he had a Burmese mountain dog, and that dog came in, they allowed it in, and he went right up to him and just, rested his head on his hand, and my brother pet, and the dog just stayed right at his side the whole time he was there, because maybe he felt that he knew, or maybe he missed my brother, that he just needed to, like, calm and relax and be there with them. And so I
Yeah.
do believe that same dog, the week before my dad had a heart attack, we were at my brother's house, and the dog sat next to my dad the entire time. And when my dad, so maybe he sensed something. And when my dad got up, the dog would get up and follow him and kept nudging his nose under my dad's hand, like to sit and relax. So I think animals are amazing. I think they know that.
There was a story of a cat that was in a nursing home, and you knew your time was up if the cat spent a lot of time with you. Like it knew.
Yeah.
It knew. My mom used to joke, like if she'd come over or the dog wouldn't leave, like she had a dog and she'd come over here, and the cats, she said, boy, this cat's giving me a lot of attention, I must be going soon. But
No.
it wasn't that, but she used to joke about that because she knew about this cat that would do this. But
yeah, but I think they know when you need to calm down and relax or rest, or you're feeling anxious, they just tend to migrate over to the person and just like, okay, pet me now, you're going to relax.
so that's tip number one, get a pet. Let's see, what else? Anybody else take notes? I can just pull, or we're just kind of talking generally, Mary, about our impressions and of these first two chapters. I think I don't know if she said this or if I said this, but I'm a doer. I am a doer. And if I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm wasting my time. That came from her. And isn't there guilt when you're not? Does anybody else experience that? Like for me, it's like, if I'm not doing something, I feel guilty. I feel like I should be doing something with my time. And I get over it because I do spend a lot of time, my evening times after dinner. We sit with my dad, we watch 2 programs because he always wants to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And then he goes home, and then it's my husband's time. It's he and I will sit and watch TV together. And I always have to multitask. I'm always like playing a game or doing something at the same time, but it's really hard for me to just sit there and watch the TV and not do anything else.
I think that's where it's kind of a false narrative about ourselves, is even when we decide to, okay, I've been doing, and now I'm just going to sit, and I'll say, like, I'll sit and watch TV with Scott, or like you said, you'll spend time with your father. But in actuality, Linda, aren't we still doing something? I mean, we might not be moving, but we're doing something that needs to be done. Spend time with a loved one, or
yeah. And sometimes I feel guilty about that if I don't. That's why I tell Kathy I can meet at 8:00 because I want to be there for Dad. But sometimes I'm not sitting there. Sometimes I'm still cleaning up the kitchen, or I'm doing something else and I'm running around, and then I feel guilty for not being there, sitting and spending time with my dad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can't win.
That's a tough one, because I think it's just in us that, we always want to do for others. And we do have to take that step back and start doing for ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I think our to-do list is for other people. But on that to-do list, you have, go get a massage, go relax, take a nap, all those things that stretch or, so we have to start putting those on our to-do list as well.
Right.
Well, no, yeah, I guess we should put them on our priority list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always on my list, go get a massage, but I never get it done.
Oh.
No.
I haven't either. I haven't had one in 3 years maybe, and I really need one right now. What else did I have on here? I like what she said, rest is not for weaklings.
Yes.
You have to make a choice to rest. You have to physically do something different in your life to be able to separate yourself from all your busyness. And I think that's how she described it, was that, we have so many different things. Our hand is in all the different pots and we're doing, rotating those plates and whatever. And to stop and say, no, I need this, that takes a lot more strength, I think, sometimes than just continuing on.
Well, even like you said earlier, saying, no, I need this, but how about saying no to somebody that's asking you to do something? Now they're taking up your time, depending on what it is, of course. But we have to learn not to always be the yes man too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sure, I can do that for you. Oh yeah, no problem. When our hill is turning into a mountain,
Right.
basically, of things that either we promised someone else that we would do for them or for whatever cause, and then we're not taking care of the things that are actually mean more to us or are of more importance for us in our own situation.
Right. It's very hard to say no.
Learn to say no. Yeah.
I think that comes with maybe getting older, or maybe it comes with getting just plain wore out, that eventually you have to learn to say no. No, I can't right now.
You have to know your own limitations, and that word limitations has a negative connotation. And we think, oh, I don't want to be limited, so I'll say yes, but we're all limited. There's just so much that you can accomplish in a day, in a week, or whatever. And so saying yes to everybody only puts you deeper in a hole,
Yeah, it puts more stress on you, and then your mind is constantly. So maybe keeping an actual list and writing things down of things you want to get done, but don't put a time limit on that list. Because if you don't write a list, if I don't make a list, then I keep going over it and over it in my mind. And I think that consumes so much of my energy. Whereas if I had a list and go cross it off, check it out. Yeah, done with that,
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how long the list is. It's just, at least I'm not constantly thinking of that list.
Right. And I suggest to people, I suggest to my dad, because he has a hard time sleeping, that keep a notepad by your bed. So at night, when you need to quiet your brain, write down everything that you need to do the next day, or whatever it is, whatever that list is in your head, and then you can release it. You write it down, and then you don't have to worry if you're going to remember it or not, or forget it or whatever, but it's written down, and then you can let it go. So I think that's, and I'm a list person. I'm always making lists, but I like I did try to put time limits on them sometimes, but very non-specific. Like I'll write a to-do list for the day, knowing that I probably won't get to everything, but at least I've got targets,
Right.
But yeah, you can't, if you put the time limit on it, or even get really anal and say, I'm going to do this between 1 and 2 and this between 3 and 7 or whatever, then, then you totally feel like a failure, because you won't make those goals.
Right.
All right. Well, she said that, where is that? I just saw that. We have decided rest is not necessary and replaced it with more activity. And that just makes us not productive anymore, but worn out productive people, is I think how she said it. And I made a note that even when I was reading and taking notes on about this book on rest, my mind was racing ahead to the next steps, right? And I think maybe mindfulness is part of the key. Like that struck me, maybe because the first time I started reading this book last year, we hadn't really talked a lot about mindfulness, but now it's like, oh, okay. If you're truly in the moment and being mindful of the moment, then that kind of prevents you from moving into the next area or thinking what's ahead. So that might be a good place to start. And maybe this book is sort of the paint by numbers version of mindfulness, that it's going to take us some, step by step to say, stop thinking outside of, your time frame and just be in this
That's
moment.
what I'm getting from the book too, is it's more of a, like you said, step by step to mindfulness.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, I didn't read any more than the first 2 chapters. I'm anxious to read more, but I think mindfulness really is the key.
I agree.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've read about a third of the book before. So now I started over from the beginning thinking, okay, now that it's structured and we have goals, I'll actually get through the book if I follow that structure. So it was nice. I actually had taken notes the first time and I actually added to it and changed some things and whatever. But getting into the second chapter, she had a list of symptoms and anxieties and things. I think that's when she was talking about that person, Karen. And now I need my glasses. I think that was on page 11, 12. Let's see.
Yeah, 12, 13.
The bottom of 11, she said she needed to know why her body ached and why she struggled to concentrate. And then there was this whole list of things on page 12, feeling tired and exhausted all the time, feeling like nothing she did made a difference, getting sick often, and open to my screen here. Okay. Let's see, feeling detached from her family and friends, negative outlook, frequent headaches, neck pain, muscle soreness, moving to anger and irritation with those she interacted with. That rings, like all of these ring true. When I was working full time, I feel like I had a lot of those, but the idea of moving to anger or irritation quickly, when I was first teaching and my kids were at home and they were like middle school age, I remember coming home and like being so irritated with them about anything, just because you can get irritated with the people you love, that unconditional love, but you can't always do that at work, especially when you're dealing with, 5th graders or whoever they are. And so that you take out your frustrations on the people that you love, which is totally wrong. Growing dependent on food, pills, and wine, and feeling depressed and stressed out. I see this all the time on Facebook. You probably do too, is that people are talking about, oh, it's wine time, or I need chocolate, or this is my comfort food and stuff like that. And we all go, yeah, because we can relate. But that's so wrong when you think about it, that's your coping mechanism. And those things are not good for your body. I mean, a glass of wine now and then is not a big thing, but some of these people are having like happy hour, 3 or 4, 5 more, to get rid of their problems.
And it'd be much easier to come home from work and know how to unwind without, going home and say, I need my wine. I need my wine. That's
Right.
If you have
That's
young
the word.
children-
I need my wine is devastating to me, that people go there, and that, that's wrong. You shouldn't need that wine. But
Right. And if you have young children, what are you showing them?
What are you projecting?
Right.
Right. Oh yeah, I need this drink or I need this whatever to unwind when you probably really don't. Like you said, if you're doing it for enjoyment
Leave me
one
alone
time,
till I have my wine. Leave me alone till I have my coffee. Leave me, and
yeah.
um, yeah, that's a real problem. And you see it so much on Facebook. It's so much.
And everybody goes, yeah,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. And I don't know. I actually belong to another group, and most people know that I'm trying to do a whole food plant-based diet, and so I'm staying away from meat. But I belong to this other Facebook group that started in my hometown, New Jersey area. And it's what's on your plate. And so people are always putting amazing food on there.
Oh,
And I used to do the same thing. And now I look at those posts. I should just get out of the group, but I look at those posts and I go, that's so not good for your body. You can't eat that. Oh my goodness, because it's the same thing. It's kind of like the wine, like you overdo it. And I'm by no means perfect with this diet. I mean, I eat fish or chicken from time to time, or in dairy products. I mean, I try not to, but I'm human.
But you also try to do a healthier version. You're not saying, okay, yeah, I eat chicken and it's fried chicken and
Right.
loaded with the breadcrumbs and all the, I mean, even when I see those KFC commercials on TV with the crispy chicken, I cringe. I go, oh my God, I can feel my arteries closing just watching that.
That's my favorite chicken. I haven't eaten it, but in God knows how long, but oh my God.
Oh, I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm just saying for myself.
Yeah, I could say
that's how I love it too, But after going through all this a number of years ago of changing over, that's how I feel when I see certain things. It doesn't mean I'm not going to want a piece of cheesecake, but yeah, my arteries are probably closing when I have that piece of cheesecake too. Yeah.
Yep.
Nuts.
Oh, where do I put that? I have something in the way. I can't see my comment. It reminds me of a blog post that I did at the end of May called Normalizing Behavior and the Influence of Social Media, because you can find anybody, and anything, and someone's going to support what you're doing on social media. Even if it's like, something terrible or awful, you're going to find somebody who's going to be in your corner and say, yeah, you go girl, whatever it is. And so I think social media is a negative influence on us, because it allows us to have behaviors and do things that we maybe shouldn't do, but we get that encouragement from
You're right,
people
because someone is always going to say, oh, that's okay, start tomorrow, or don't worry about it, depending on what you're, doing.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to you. You don't have to listen to them. It's
Yeah.
your decision.
Right.
It's your decision.
Whether Joe says that or not, you're still going to do it if that's what you want to do.
Right. But often we want somebody to be in our corner so that it justifies our behavior. It justifies what we're doing. Like, isn't this great? And they're like, yeah, oh, that looks delicious. And, you gain 5 pounds from looking at it. But, just whatever it is, there's always somebody who can encourage the negative behavior.
Yes.
And it may not seem like, they're not doing that to encourage you to be negative in your life or to have bad habits. It's just what we all do,
Right.
So I think, using those different triggers and tools to make ourselves feel better is really a negative thing. And we get that reinforcement from social media that, yeah, you go for that 4th glass of wine, girl. You deserve it. You deserve it. That drives me crazy.
Right.
You deserve to hurt your body in that way, or
So
whatever.
that brings on a whole nother thing too. Is that truly relaxing you? Or now is your heart racing and you can't calm that down to rest? Or get a headache from it? Now you're,
Now you can't sleep.
relax and sleep because of the headache, so it could be a vicious circle.
Vicious circle. Yeah, vicious
Yep.
circle. Wow.
I like what she said about rest. All rest is not created equal.
Mhm.
And she had a whole list of things that what we think maybe is rest is not restful. And she said, shifting our activities or changing the location of where we are active is no more restful than doing those same activities at home. So the most purposely reviving parts of our life, we regularly deplete. But she also came up with a list of things like vacations don't work.
Right.
How many times have you ever said, I need a vacation from my vacation? Right?
Mhm.
Because it's a lot of work to go on vacation, and then the recovery afterwards, and the laundry, and the paying the bills that you missed, and going through the mail. Like it's not really that restful.
So
No.
coming back home is kind of like that jet lag you feel, when you've been traveling, and
Mhm.
when you're home, that's all you want to do is just like, you just feel exhausted. So to me, going on a vacation and coming home and feeling like that, that's like the jet lag, but so much, anxiousness and pressure on you. You just like, I'm not doing anything.
Right. I'm gonna get down now. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's okay to go on vacation and have a great time, but don't consider that rest, because we all know that it's not. But she's mentioned downsizing. I wasn't quite sure what she meant by that, but she said escapism is not rest. So when you downsize, I guess you're getting rid of things in your life, but
And I did that when I moved to Florida. I figured, downsizing, you live in a house for so many years and you've got all this stuff and all these things that you think you need. So downsizing. And yes, keeping things more to, I like minimalism. I like that.
I'm
Yeah.
just the opposite.
Yeah. And but there's some things like I'll never minimalize. Like I love plants and I have plants everywhere and I love taking care of my plants. But I downsized a lot of other things that just weren't necessary in my life.
Okay, so then we can talk about that in the way of downsizing. What's our mental list, our physical lists, our commitments, our, whatever is causing a person to feel overburdened or, like stressed out or not allowing you to rest in a number of different ways, your mind, your body, your emotions and everything. So maybe it's some of that might not be just physical downsizing of other things around you. Maybe it's downsizing that list that we feel that we really have to get through in order to feel like, oh, now I can rest. When, if we downsize that list, downsize those commitments and other things, maybe that will give us, maybe that's a way of downsizing too.
Yeah.
The last sentence that she writes in that section on downsizing is, downsizing your life without a restful plan for filling the gaps only opens the door for other enemies like laziness and apathy.
True.
So you can get rid of things, but if you don't have a purposeful idea of how you're going to rest. And I also think that when you get rid of things in your life, then you open the door to bring in more things, and it just fills the gap with things that are maybe not productive or not restful.
But then maybe that's like you're saying, bring something else in, but bring something else in that would be more helpful for you or your family or your situation. Do we need that meditation time or that relaxation time? Do we want to bring in, go have a facial, go have a massage to help you just relax your muscles or other things like that? Bring in something, go walk around at the park. I don't know. I mean,
Coffee
Florida
date with a girlfriend. Those social
coffee
connections are important.
right, improve those social connections. So yes, we can get rid of all the stressors of that list and maybe bring in something that's not so much of a stress or taxing on your whole self.
Something more enjoyable, something for you.
Right.
The next one on the list was medications. And my main takeaway there was drugs linger and they often make you lethargic the next day. And then you feel like you're digging yourself out of a hole all over again.
And you become dependent on them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Which I will confess, I take medication every night before I go to bed. If I don't sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
I've
And
been relying on melatonin.
yeah.
And that really helps me.
And I mean, I would love not to rely on something to get to sleep. I guess that's why, another reason why I was looking into this book. But yeah.
So another reason why people, their minds keep going in the evening, when they lay down to sleep and can't get to sleep and may need something like that to shut it off. And I'm not saying that this is you, or I'm just saying that I don't know if I read this in the book or when Linda and I had talked in the past. It's also being connected to watching TV and all that constant stimulation, or playing games on your phone, or doing something on, on the internet, whatever. So I guess there's another part to it too, for me. It's like, I'm one of those people that are, like either looking something up or watching something on TV. So then when I go to bed, my mind is racing for me too, not just with what I was doing right before bed, but also going through my list. So I think I have to have a shutdown time, an hour or two before going to bed, is shut things off, maybe that less stimulation and the EMFs and whatever else, will help me too, because I no longer leave my phone plugged in my bedroom at night. I just plug it outside the room, and, just having less of the electrical stuff plugged in is helping me a little bit right now. I just started doing that. So I can't, say, oh yeah, it's definitely worked yet, but I've heard from other people that that's a good way to,
Yes. Yeah. Especially, scrolling online or going through Facebook or watching the news, all that stuff before bed seems to be does more harm than good.
right.
It's a magnet for that activity in your brain to, stimulate. Sleep marathons, trying to catch up on your sleep, and
I remember doing it when I was younger, and it doesn't work.
like this morning, I could have stayed in bed longer, but I set my alarm last night and I made myself get up because I wanted to get my workout in before I came here, and I needed a shower and all of that. So, but if I didn't have to get up for this, I would have stayed in bed a little bit longer. But I think, like I said, this week, it's all been about Jessie, and I've been excited for her, and I haven't slept very well. So I probably would have gotten up anyway, knowing that she was getting up and she was going to the store and she was, I want to see the next chapter in her adventure. But yeah, they don't work.
No.
Multitasking was another thing that she said doesn't really work. And I agree with that. Like, I think we all think that we can multitask, but something always suffers. We can't do each job to the full extent and the best of our ability when we're doing multiple things at once. So
Right.
we may be able to watch TV and scroll something, and look something up, but are we going to retain that information? Or are we going to retain what we're watching? Like, something's going to suffer. And I mean, that's just a minor example, but we tend to try to multitask in a lot of different areas. And our last one was complaining. Because complaining, it doesn't do anything except for, it sucks your energy out of you, and it doesn't address a solution at all. It doesn't help.
No.
Not saying that we can't complain, because I think you need to. If you suck it up and you never complain about anything, you're going to boil over at some point, and you're going to boil over big. So I think you have to vent. My daughter does what I do when you're driving and people piss you off.
Mhm.
We go, and then we both look at each other whenever, whoever's driving, we look like, I'm afraid, you better, reel that in a little bit. And then like, if it's me, it's like, oh no, I'm good. I'm just venting. Now I'm good. I let it out and I'm good. And my mom used to always, be upset with me if I did that. And I'm like, oh no, Mom, I'm not having a heart attack here. I'm just getting it out and I'm good,
Oh, I won't have back.
Right. Because if you keep it inside, then you're going to let it fester and then it's not healthy.
Right.
At the end of the second chapter, she started talking about all of the things that can help. And I think this is just sort of an outline of what we're going to see coming up. Replace the stress of intense living with the peace of intentional rest. Intense living, intentional rest. I like that. Identify your rest deficit and discover which types of rest you need most. So in this book, we're going to learn about 8 different separate areas that we need to rest in our lives. And some of us are really good at some of them and not so good at others. So we're going to investigate that. But when you identify what your deficit is, then you know where to start working. Recover your life from the effects of a chronic rest deficit. Renew your energy and experience the benefits of a well-rested life. Restore your sanity by claiming the gifts of rest. Exchange the guilt of your unfinished to-do list for the freedom to choose best. I like that one. Get rid of the guilt. And overcome being overwhelmed by the life you've worked so hard to create. So yeah, you work so hard to have something and then you're not able to enjoy it because you're just like, you're not rested. You're gone a little crazy. And she ends by saying, what kind of rest have you been missing? So we're going to see more about that. Coming chapters. The next chapter is the rest you've been missing. So it's going to kind of address that, I guess. And then we go into the first one, which is physical rest, which is what we've been mostly talking about, is, getting enough sleep, being able to have quality sleep. And I consider quality sleep is if I only get up once during the night to go pee.
Exactly.
Great.
I'm there with you. Yeah.
Let's see. I found a study guide written by the author, and she has a couple of different things. So we can just maybe talk about one of these. There's way too many of them. Let's see. We talked about so many of these without even intending to. So what is your breaking point, your trigger point, or personal markers for a longing for rest? Like, what has to happen before you realize I need to take a break, I need rest? Does anybody recognize that in themselves?
I think my frustration level and anger level, like inside, not that I'm outwardly angry at anybody or anything, but I could feel it like building and building. And then finally I just take in a deep breath and I got to leave, whether it's go for a little walk or go for a car ride, and I know this sounds crazy, but I'll go for like a coffee, or to get a juice or something from our juice place. And
no,
I need to like leave the situation, leave the moment, that time, wherever I'm at when I feel like that. Because if I stay there, I feel like it's just, and no matter what it is that triggered it, I have to remove myself from where I'm at when I feel that.
Right.
I think our bodies, like Kathleen was saying, your body just kind of tells you, and I know mine does. It's listening to it. It's when you go beyond listening to your the messages your body or your mind is giving you is when you're in trouble. But if you, this goes back to mindfulness, you know, the more mindful you are to listen to the signals your body is giving you physically and mentally. It's,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's
That headache or neck ache or the irritation. For me, I can feel myself getting short with my
Mhm.
husband. I mean, there's nobody else around. I
yeah.
try not to get short with my dad because he
Well, I do
he
that
doesn't
myself.
understand it half the time, and half the time he can't hear me anyway. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I can feel that. And a lot of times it comes at dinner time when it's like, I don't know what we're having tonight, you know, because I'm trying to eat healthy, and yet unless you plan ahead for that, it's hard. It's hard. Last
You're right.
night was like I whipped out. Well, Dick had leftovers from a meal that we had we ordered out the night before. So he had leftovers, and I'm like, well, that doesn't help. I still need something for dad and something for me. But then I found some leftovers for dad. And then I found a great bag of mixed quinoa and squash and kale that was like a meal all for one. So I was like, okay, we're all happy. I'm all happy. And the stress level went down, but I have to plan ahead for those types of things, which is what I'm going to do after we're done here today. I'm going to figure out what dinner is, not leave it for the last minute.
Okay, and speaking of that, I'm going to leave, if that's all right with you
No,
guys.
you have a nice a time at your activity and seeing all the new products, and I want
Thank
to
you.
hear
I've
about
also
them.
been drinking a lot of water, so I do have to go in.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't want
share. Are you
up
going to
Bill.
share? You're sharing an oily journey, or are you going to share in?
Well, Bobby actually just walked in about 20 minutes ago. I saw her cross over and go in. I mean, she parked like kind of right next to me. And so I tooted the horn and waved to her. She just kind of went. So maybe she's doing that right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. She could be. I didn't know she was coming. I thought she wasn't going to come. So
Yeah, I got a message at 11:30 saying we're live, so I'll have to follow that link and
hop on.
Yeah, Mary.
Right.
Today is the launch for all the holiday catalog stuff. So, thanks, Kathy.
Well, thank you, and thank you for hopping on.
Nice meeting you.
Appreciate that. See you guys all soon.
Okay.
Take
All right.
care.
Bye-bye.
So we'll finish up. I mean, anybody have any parting words? It isn't in the number of hours slept. It's not in the number of meditations, prayers, or mental exercises. It's not in quitting your job or blowing off obligations. The secret of the well-rested is found in answering one question. What type of rest have you been missing? So that's our journey moving forward.
That's a good question. So,
Yep.
okay.
All right.
I
Well,
couldn't
thanks for
answer it.
joining us. What? I'm sorry, Mary?
I couldn't answer it. I
Yeah.
didn't answer yet.
Well, we don't know yet, right? We don't know. I mean, even if you did a book, if you look through and you saw the chapters ahead, the explanation is what we need as we read. So
Right.
hopefully we'll be experts in physical rest by the end of next week. So, all right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Saturday for chapters 3 and 4. Great discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.